All right, so we're going to take a second, introduce our guest for the week, Tommy Russo. For those that don't know, Tommy is a longtime friend of mine. We got really close a while back. He's known Pete for a while, and he was actually supposed to be one of the founding members of this podcast. But life happens. He had a beautiful baby very recently. He's a new dad. So today he's here. We're going to get the perspective of a brand new father, bounce it off two guys that have three kids and are balls deep in it. And hopefully we turn out some good stuff for you guys today and everybody could relate to it.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I just realized something. We've been friends, and I was thinking about this on the way here, almost 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. Like what was it, 2013?
So, yeah, probably because I got involved on the political side here in town, and that's when I met you. Obviously, before I had kids. Max is 6 now. So, yeah, it's probably about 10 years
But it's crazy
now.
that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me. Think about it. That's how fast 10 years go. It's like,
But think about how much happened in that 10 years.
A lot
I
happened.
watched you go from vice president of our local Republican club to president to councilman to deputy mayor to father, amazingly close friend. And we've built what I believe, and I hope you share the same sentiment, to be a lifelong bond. And our circles have began to really intertwine, like with Pete here. We were just talking about how some of the best days and best golf outings were spent together.
I wish we knew Pete back in the political days. I feel like that it would
Well,
have
it's
been.
surprising we didn't because he was so close with Bobby Walsh.
I know. Oh my God.
Well, Bobby used to always tell me to stay out of politics
He was smart.
because I was getting to a point there where I would talk to Abby a lot about it, and whether whichever side of the line you're on, like my view for myself, if I were to run, would be like for the people, like middle of the road guy. And anytime that I would talk to Bob about that, even when he was running, he's like, "Don't get involved, don't get involved, don't do it, don't do it." So I was like, "All right, no problem."
Bob
But
told
like,
me, yeah.
but I watched you guys on social media. Like, I didn't know Billy then. I've known Tommy since we're in high school, probably.
Yep.
Maybe even like middle school, probably high school, or maybe you were in middle school,
yeah,
I was in high
yep.
school. But I've known Tommy for a long time. I didn't know Rob Seaman back then, and I didn't know you. But I was watching what you guys were doing, like at home through COVID. And like, I vividly remember seeing pictures of you guys with
Yeah, it was a wild
water
time.
bottles, bringing food to people. And I'm sitting back. I got the chills just now thinking about it. I'm sitting back thinking, these are my people, man. This is what I want to do. I want to help people.
That was the good side of politics.
Right.
And not that I was ever a politician. My only goal ever was to be part of something that seemed like it would help people. Now, I'm lucky because I got in with Tommy at the same time. We got close, and he had great vision. So when COVID hit, he's on the phone. He's like, "Yo, let's go food shopping for people that are at risk. We're elders that can't get to the food store. Boom, let's go. We're cleaning leaves. We're cutting trees. Whatever it was, we're out there." None of it was political.
Right.
Because
Yeah, it
honestly,
wasn't at all.
I don't really care about politics. I just want to do good. Thank you. Do good and see everybody prosper around us. And me being able to connect with Rob Seaman and do all that great stuff with, especially at the time, two of my really close friends that I was forging these relationships with in scary times when COVID hit, meant so much to me. And I'm certain that if we had a different relationship and we were as close as we are,
he'd be one
you
of the
would
guys,
have been
absolutely.
leading the charge. Because that's who you are.
I
You
was
would have
feeling,
fit
I was,
so
I'm
well
telling
in
you,
that.
I was feeling that vibe from my house on Facebook going, all right, I know Tommy. I know what he's all about. I don't really know these other two guys that they're with, but whatever mission they're on, this is exactly what I'm about.
And now you've aligned
I wasn't really
yourself-
doing anything, to really make an impact, but I was sitting there watching you guys like almost envious, like, damn, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to help mad people.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're doing that. And I can't believe somebody like Tommy being so young in politics. Like you don't really see that.
He's a natural leader, though.
Yeah.
He took the reins, and you sitting there being able to be exposed to me and Rob Seaman, who you didn't know. You might have seen us on social media and feel that way. Now I know you have a great relationship with Rob. We have a great relationship. So if it wasn't for you seeing that and social media being able to connect us, where would we be today? But I'm blessed that through Tommy, he exposed me to opportunities to serve my community, not in a political capacity, because it's not about politics for me. It's never been, it never will be. I don't want to be a politician. I'll leave that to Tommy Russo. I'll stand
sure?
behind him. Yes, I'm certain. But I will campaign for you. I will march to hell. It doesn't matter. If you tell me we're going, I know the motives are pure and that you are as genuine as it comes.
Well, that's the thing. So I remember when COVID hit, so we had a really rough, that campaign cycle was rough. That was Trump's midterm, and it was that blue wave. Remember, the Democrats were really, the momentum was with them. And so it was a tough, getting in was tough. It was really hard just to get in there. Then that first year, being involved in politics post-Trump, politics changed. It got really, really intense. People feel very strong about their positions. Both sides are very, very strong. They're both dug in. So we had 1 year, then we had COVID, right? Yeah. And then, but I'll tell you, even during the campaign, I would call up, hey, Bill, you want to go out there and campaign? You want to go out there? Boom, let's go. And actually, as a matter of fact, the last thing we did, I think it was before the shutdown, we were in Atlantic City. We were at Harrah's. I believe it was Harrah's or Trop.
For the,
it was like a state Republican.
Was that the last thing?
It was a state Republican event. And I remember we're walking around and we're all talking like COVID was a thing. It was like
it was me, you, and Rob.
Yeah. And I remember, and then it was like days later, shut down. The government was, talking about what are we going to do? How are we going to, are we going to continue? No one knew anything. It was just a crazy time. But from that day on, I remember, politics was for a brief moment in time, took a back seat, and everyone kind of came together. It kind of went crazy after that, but there was a brief moment where it was a couple of months where everybody was on the same page.
Yeah,
everybody wanted good.
And people don't realize Howell has an elderly population, a very large elderly population. We have multiple senior communities, so there was a real fear. These people didn't, they thought the air was going to kill them, and in many cases it did. And it's very, very sad. A lot of them had pre-existing conditions. They had to go to get their doctor's appointment. They had to get their medicine. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, they kind of fit that one realm of susceptible.
Yeah.
If they were to get really anything at that point,
it was so unknown. There was nothing that could be done.
It was a scary
fear
time
in that community.
And so we big thanks to Billy and Rob, and also there was Matt Gonzalez who was always there, and many others who helped us out. It was an amazing thing to come together to help the people out. It really was. And speaking of the Bob real quick, Bob and I, we got close too late. We got close way too late.
Better late than never.
He toward the end, and for our viewers, Bob was mayor of Howell Township. He's very close with Petey. You guys were, I think, best friends, and you were his, or he was your mentor.
Yep.
And so Bob was on the ticket with me, and we ran a tough campaign. But right before the election, I remember Bob, he invited me over to Eagle Oaks, and he poured me like a giant thing of scotch, and he's like, we had a real heart-to-heart, like a real good discussion. He told me everything. He told me he gave me so much advice, and I really, it's funny because if Bob were around today, there's no doubt he would be elected. He would have been elected that year, and I think we would have worked together really well because we had our the way I carried myself on the dais and the way I operating in politics. It was very similar to him, and it's almost exactly what he told me. All the advice that he told me, I was on board, and it kind of, yeah.
Do you think that is what made you so effective and successful? Your ability to absorb what people told you. I've been along your ride for a while, and I remember going, and I got a little confused when you brought up Atlantic City, because I was lucky enough to accompany you to a top 40, under 40 politician in New Jersey lunch at a restaurant in Atlantic City. And I remember being there and being so proud that you were invited to be in this room, and you were featured. You were, a star guest there. And I'm sitting here looking at somebody who's younger than me, who's super accomplished, super successful. And, there's got to be a reason behind your success, whether it's just drive and determination alone, or your ability to listen to people, whether it was Bobby Walsh or, somebody else. I know for me, just in getting me involved in the political arena in many different capacities than you was Tony Lembo, who was a great guy who's since passed. But I always had the ability to listen, and me and Pete have discussed this on this podcast. Having a mentor was really important. Would you say you being open to listening put you where you are today?
Yeah. Not just, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but you too. I mean, you know, there were a couple of times where you called me, hey, Tom, you remember that conversation we had about the, what was it, about businesses?
We've had a few, but the one you're probably speaking of was when COVID hit, and I got to give you a world of credit on this. When COVID hit, Howell Township wanted to charge restaurants or whatever it was an application fee. And it was a menial amount. It was small nominal fee. But at that point, I felt really adamant that why is the town coming off like it's a money grab? We need to advocate for our local businesses because without them, the community doesn't exist. These small businesses are the ones donating to the youth organizations that are putting signs up at football fields or baseball fields, whatever it is. And right now, when they're struggling because they can't have business conduct as usual, why, as our governing body, are we reaching into their pocket again even more? So me and Tommy had some heated exchanges about that, and they were only heated because I respected and love him so much that I couldn't understand how, as a business owner, how this would make me feel, even though it didn't affect my industry. And we were able to discuss it at length. And, you know, not for nothing, the council at that point led the charge and forego or, you know, put aside the fee and let people operate.
Because he called me, and it's funny, he was heated, you know, because we were down to the penny. I mean, we were counting there was so many unknowns with COVID and with regard to how we were going to continue to fund the government, right? Like cops weren't pulling people over and giving tickets anymore. There was, you know, there was no court revenue. There was revenue concerns with the township. And so, you know, and this is before we knew we were going to get funding from the federal government and all that, and the state. So, you know, we didn't know. And so, but you're absolutely right. Hearing from the business perspective, especially a business like his, like Certified, where they do everything for the community. So hearing it, that was an eye opener. But yeah, like going back to like mentor, like, you know, it's not just a mentor, it's listening to everyone you respect. And, you know, if you're doing something out there and you're like Certified, like you and your family, you listen. You know, you listen. You don't just dismiss them. Oh, okay, you know, I'm the government and you're the constituent. I'm just gonna I'll let you know. And you listen, everybody, you know. And even if people, you know, you don't agree with, and that's something I did a lot, actually. I listened to people who would bash me on social media, you know, and I would get a whooping on social media. A week later, they'd come to me and I'd go to them and we'd talk about issues, and then we, you know, it was
You're very level-headed in that
yeah,
sense,
I mean, it's part of the job, you know. You can't take it personally. You really can't. If you do, it's
How did you separate the personal digs from politics? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of, so I knew we were going to tie in wrestling to this. I knew we were going to somewhere. This is a good
right.
kind of,
everything resorts back.
you know, it's like when you wrestle, and this is something that it reminded me so much of wrestling when I was up there. It's like when you're wrestling, it's a fight. You're trying to win, the other guy's trying to win, and it's, you know, you kind of block out everything else. Like, it's, you know, I don't personally hate this kid, but I am going to destroy him, right? That's the mentality. Similar to that, it's like I can separate, you know, being bashed in a political way or whatever, you know, because look, it's a part of the game, right? It's part of the thing. To be involved, you have to have thick skin. You got to be okay with people taking shots at you. This is our system of government, right? It's, you know, from day one, there were political differences, and it's funny. I was looking. This is when early on, I was looking at old political cartoons, and it truly was. People were like, "Oh, it wasn't like this back in the day." I'm like, "Yeah, it was. There were duels back in the day, man. Like, you know, like people would. I mean, it was crazy then. It's crazy now."
I feel like the old school duel aspect, at least you get something resolved. Yeah. Like where we're at now, there's such a huge gap. There is no duel.
Just back and forth.
Gap between one side and the other, and no one's willing to do any type of compromise.
Social media is a lot. You know, people go on there and they talk a lot of crap to one another, and it gets personal very quickly. Yeah. My view on that is I never got involved in that. I had my own social media platform that I controlled. So I had that, and I controlled the narrative. And the thing about being a council person and having a social media is that by law, you can't delete or hide people's comments. So if it's a township or government page, it's actually a First Amendment violation. And so you can get sued for that. So you were basically there, you put out a post.
Your target.
And I had one lady who hated my guts. I don't know why, but she didn't like me for whatever reason. And an older woman, she would, in all caps every time, I don't know what her deal was.
At you.
But she would just, they're still there. So if you want to laugh, go through my old Facebook, the councilman page, and you can, every time there's like, posting a picture of, I don't know, Happy Thanksgiving, my family. And she'd go up there and she would just rip me a new one in the comments. And I was funny, so I went to...
I was in one of those pictures. I don't know if you remember. We were in my backyard. COVID had come, and it was that summer.
Yes.
And we were sitting in my backyard around the fire pit, semi-distanced, with no masks on. There's a picture of me, Tommy, and Rob Seaman. And people started attacking it. Where are your masks? Blah, blah, blah. You're a political leader in town. What kind of example?
Oh, man.
And I'm saying to myself, how crazy is this? That he's opened himself up in such a way to be so scrutinized. But before I turn it back over to you, you mentioned political cartoons and then social media. Like 2 days ago on my Facebook memories was a post that you put up about a mailer that was put out in town, and Amanda filmed a video showing you the mailer and you saying that it looked nothing like you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still one of my favorite things on Facebook because although in an attacking manner, this was put out. Oh, you shrugged it off, and you shrugged it off in like a public forum, totally gracefully. You made a joke out of it, and that spoke volumes of how you handled politics. No matter what it was, you had thick skin. You were able to move and adjust and find that center for you where you never came out of who you were. You didn't let it affect you. And stuff like that probably leads to you being... Maybe not now, because it's so new still, but down the road, especially, what's going to be a great father and spouse. I mean, I know your wife very well. We've all been together numerous times, and I know she's super supportive of you, and I know you're super supportive of her. You're like a young power couple, now adding a baby to the mix. Yep. And, you've always strived and let stuff roll off your back, and I think that's what's going to make you a great father.
Well, I appreciate that, but I got to give a shout out to Mary, Billy's wife, always available to talk about everything.
She's like the poop guru.
I didn't want to say it, but my little daughter, fortunately, she had a little issues with her stomach, and Mary was there to provide guidance and keep because everything like you think as a new parent, at least it's me. Everything you're worried about everything. Like everything is like it could be the end, the end of the world, and it's usually, thank God, not. And but we were scared for a little while. She was having all kinds of issues, and Mary put our mind at ease. And
by number 3, you won't be worried about it.
Dirt on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
My daughter Josephine. Now she's 2.5 now. We went through a phase. Now, I mean, she went to the doctor. We did everything we were supposed to make sure she was good. But she would sit outside and she would be on the curb or on the sidewalk eating dirt. Like she loved eating dirt and rocks, whatever it was. It didn't matter. She'd have dirt all over her face. You'd yell at her. She'd run away and do it again. Finally, we were like, well, fuck it. Like, what are we going to do?
Don't they say that kids eat dirt that is generally healthier as adults?
Well, so it turns out
less allergies, like us.
There's iron deficiencies that cause that to happen, or there's this thing called pica, which is some kind of thing where they say it can also be used, or previously was used as an autism indicator, which right now is not a concern for us, and not a concern for our pediatrician, but she doesn't need anything anymore. We gave her some vitamins and she's balanced out. Yeah. But I mean, we weren't too concerned about it. By if this was Max, we would have been at the doctor every 5 minutes of every day on the phone. Because, like you said, it's new and everything is the end of the world.
It really is. It's such. The one thing that I did not see coming was the worry. I knew there was going to be sleepless nights and all that and a lot of work. And I got to say, my wife Amanda does almost everything. I mean, really, she does everything. Let's put it that way. She's, it's
dude. We're dads. We get it.
We get it, bro.
Especially with the babies, you'll find your lane as you go. But as of right now, dude, the ladies are doing.
But the worry, though, for me, it was the worry.
Yeah, but that worry never stops.
It never stops.
It's never going away.
Now that I have 3 kids and I see the world from a different lens than I once did, My mom was probably more worried when I was in my early 20s than she was when I was 2 months old.
Oh yeah.
Well, you get in way more trouble.
You know
in
what
your
I
20s.
mean? But it was like,
Higher
shit, you would
stakes,
think
I guess.
20 years later there wouldn't be any more worry, but starting to realize that worry is going to continue.
Yeah.
Now that they're in high school, you're worried, are they okay?
Different
they're
kinds
in
of
college,
worry.
they're in another state. Now what are you worried about? Okay, now they have their own kids. You're worried about your grandbabies. It's like, God,
So the
dang
best
it.
bit of advice
The worry
I
never
got
stops.
It never stops.
when we had Max, we were at Central State Hospital. I think we had Max. We left 2 days later, whatever it was. So you have the baby.
Yeah.
Baby's in your room, whatever. Now it's on you.
Shit gets real,
You're
man.
changing diapers. You're giving bottles, whatever it is. And, they teach you how to change the first diaper, which
Yeah.
I didn't know how.
Barely.
My wife knew how to do it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And they come in. They're like, all right, yeah, you're going home. And I'm like, well, is there like an owner's manual here, like instructions?
Nothing,
Like,
bro.
what do we do?
Yeah.
Freelancing.
And me and the doctor had a good relationship. And I'm like, what do we do if this happens? He goes, listen, they have great instincts. You don't have to worry. Everything's going to be fine. But I put the kid in the car. I closed the door. Mare got in the car. And I put my back up against the car and I took a deep breath. And I said, shit just got real.
Mm-hmm.
I probably drove home at 6 miles an hour
Yep.
because I didn't want.
It reminds me of
I was so nervous.
what's that movie?
Knocked up. Knocked
Knocked
up.
up.
Yep,
Knocked up. Every cars are beeping.
Yep,
at
yep.
us.
He's like, yep.
5 miles an hour. That's
So-
how I felt too.
I was lucky. I have a great relationship with a couple of local law officers. One of which is like family to me, Tom Rizzo. He comes by the shop. He
People's
makes sure
champ.
the car, make
Love
sure the
that
car
guy.
seat's in properly and secured. So I didn't have to worry if I did something wrong. It's in. I know Tom put it in good, but in my mind, I was so worried I was going to hit the brake too hard or whatever. And this little baby is going to break his finger or whatever.
man.
And
The
irrational
The
fear.
worry. Oh
I
man.
know.
But by Josephine, I was doing 90 down Route 18 on the way
Right.
home. It was nothing.
I'm still a little bit torn on some of that because now in 2023, having a little baby, things look way different, bro. Like my parents tell me stories about those old school they called it the Griswold Mobile, but it's like those old wagons.
Sitting in the
with
trunk
hood
of the
on
car,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were sliding in a basket from seat to seat, side to side. We got this freaking shoulder harness on these kids like they were about to get on the Scream Machine at Six Flags.
Yeah.
Buckled in, locked in. I'm like, they're fine.
Yeah, but
They'll be all right. But
a lot of people today don't even think that's enough. They look at you like you got to
Fucking bubble wrap
wrap them
the
in,
kid?
wrap them in bubble wrap.
Yeah, but we got to be careful with that stuff, man.
Yeah,
because
absolutely, yep.
the generations prior to us, they turned out just fine. This soft ass world that we're growing up in right now, the world's still going to be brutal. So, Billy and I talk a lot about being parents, mental health, addiction, all these different things. But at least the generations prior to us, we were able to see how they turned out. This trial run of fucking parents do everything, bubble wrap, friggin' peanut allergies.
We don't know what we got.
Some of this shit, dude, trick or treating, man. Nobody had peanut allergies when we were kids. Nobody had, gluten free. I didn't know what gluten was till 5 years ago. Now everybody's gluten free. So
I'm
it's
still not sure.
Eat more dirt. And I'm not knocking any kid who has it. We were trick or treating with the post, and Zach has a peanut allergy. Freaking, that was a whole nother conversation. We were just cracking up with the kids last night. But Zach's got a great personality, Johnny Post kid, and he would go up to the house and say, let them know, hey, I got a peanut allergy, and they're like, oh, okay, here, take a Hershey's. He almost walked away because he thought it was just Reese's, and the lady was like, here you go. But on Halloween topic, right? We were talking when it was all said and done. There were some of these Halloween clear bags with all candy in it, little toys and different things, little bow tie on it. And, we were saying who's taking the time to do that? And I said, who's probably taking the time to do that? Some woman that's in her 60s, whose kids are grown, have kids of their own, might live in another state, and she's missing out. I just got the chills again. She's missing out or reminiscing about the days when her little babies were
Empty nest syndrome.
babies. So she is taking the time. Maybe she's got more time on her hands, but she doesn't forget those days that when her kids were getting dressed up, showing up to houses. So, yeah, she's taking the time because she remembers what it's like to see the joy on that kid's face to have that great, Halloween experience.
So now, luckily, we've experienced that, and we've gotten to bring our kids out trick-or-treating. They can run up, knock on the door, whatever. You'll get there. And you'll know what that's like. Now, I'm talking last night to we're trick-or-treating in my neighborhood, to your childhood close friend, Uncle T, and they didn't go out trick or treating. He said he felt weird because he's going to carry the baby up, and it's like he's trick or treating.
Yeah.
And I get that.
I remember
'cause
that.
I felt the same way. But what you and Tony don't realize is, in the blink of an eye, that time is gone. Like right now, the babies are so little, and you don't realize how fast they're going to turn into Max, my 6-year-old. I remember, like it's yesterday, him being in that same position, dressed up as a pumpkin for Halloween, and we're sitting on my mom's porch handing out candy because I didn't want to be the one ringing the doorbell, holding a baby. It's weird.
So being like a new older parent, I had the benefit of having a lot of friends who had kids, and everybody says the same thing. And I was the last out of another group of friends to have kids. So like there was 9 of us, I was the last one to have it. And everyone says the same thing. Grandparents, parents, friends, family, they say, don't let any moment pass you by. Take it all in, enjoy every moment. Don't, try to get home from work at a reasonable time. That's hard too. I'm sure we're gonna talk about that in a little bit too, the work-life balance. But be there, be present, and just soak it in. You're never gonna get back.
Well, it's so fast, and there's no better time than now to talk about how, as a young father who has been so accomplished and successful earlier in life, whether it was the political arena or in your law profession, how are you doing finding that balance now? Because as a new father, with the workload that you have, being as successful in your industry as you are, I drive up and down Route 9, I see your picture on billboards, the whole 9 yards. That's my boy, Tommy Russo, out there crushing it. I know your workload is heavy. I know what you're going through. How are you able to find balance, if you are finding balance, with work and your home life?
Well, I have a really supportive, awesome wife. That's like number one. We all do.
Amanda is amazing.
I know Abby and Mary, so we are very lucky guys. having a supportive, helpful, sweet wife who's on the team, who's on board, who has your back. That's for me, that's it. If I didn't have my wife, I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have, I don't know. I really don't know.
You shouldn't know yet. You're too new to it.
Yeah.
How old's your daughter?
5 months.
5 months.
Yeah, I'm 6 years in, and I still have no idea.
I'm almost 9 years in, and I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, it's ever changing, bro.
But yesterday was Halloween. So the baby's daycare had a parade. We were talking about work-life balance. Thankfully, in my industry, I don't have to call anybody and ask for permission to leave, and I can pretty much go wherever I need to go. I was a little bit anxious today and leading up to tomorrow because there's still some tasks that I need to get done, but we were talking about the family life balance. So Mason is in 3rd grade. They had a parade later on in the day. I went to that. Prior to that, I went to the 11:30 parade at the daycare. My kids watch Toy Story every night. So I was feeling like giddy and numb yesterday for the joy of my kids. And I was texting my wife throughout the day, I feel so good today. I'm just excited for them to be happy. So I go to Party City over here. I pick up a Woody costume that was probably made for a 6'5" guy, would have fit like a glove. So, me 5'7", getting into this costume, it didn't fit well, but they got the point. It was Woody from Toy Story.
You were Woody for Halloween.
Yeah. So I showed up at the kids' parade. I was pretty much the only parent that was dressed up. I got a Woody costume that's too big for me.
He showed up at Certified before that, and I'm at my desk on the phone taking care of a Medicare issue for my dad. I'm on the phone with Social Security. Somebody goes, "Oh my God." I thought something bad happened. I go, "What happened?" And it was Pizza Pete. He goes, "You'll see in a minute." I said, "I don't want to see in a minute. If something happened, I'm on the phone. Tell me what happened." He goes, "Pete Reilly's here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I just thought Pete was being a little over dramatic. In walked Pete Reilly, dressed as Sheriff Woody.
Bro.
It was a sight, man. It was a sight.
So thankfully my parents were at the parade too, and my sister was sitting next to me during the parade. She said, "Man, anything to get dressed up, huh?" And I kind of laughed, and I was like, "Yeah," but I was like, honestly, anything to make them smile.
Yeah.
And I could not wait. Abby's like, "Oh, here they come." So they went around the bend. I could not wait to see their face of me dressed up. And Abby's got a video. I'm giving them 5. I'm like, this is the stuff that keeps me charged up, man. There is no dollar amount that you could wire my account that I would replace that money over seeing them having the pure joy, man. And so your daughter is only 5 months old. So did you guys, were you holding her trick-or-treating? Did you get her dressed up? A 5-month-old, dude, you could try to put the outfit on. They're screaming. They can poop on it. You don't know.
She's starting to smile and starting to laugh. She's a couple of months ago, like really starting to really belly laugh now.
Yeah, nice.
And she's getting that personality. And like you said, like seeing the kid smile, it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. We did. She was Pebbles, so she had a lot of hair. You know, she's got a full head of hair from day one.
You were the best dad in bed, Rob.
And I was the best dad in bed. Yeah, so I'm not a big. You know, I got to get over that. I got to get over the dressing. I don't dress up for Halloween. I give you so many props for going out there and being Woody because I think I had a T-shirt. It just says like
yeah, but at least it was a family themed thing.
It was,
bro. She's gonna ask you once for you to be whatever it is, and you're gonna go right to Party City, and you're gonna. If
she told me, Dad, hey, listen, I need you to be Fred Flintstone, like whatever.
All in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best damn Fred Flintstone ever.
And hair and everything.
One of my favorite Halloweens. We were trick or treating in Glenard, and Max was young. We dressed up as Baby Shark. So, Mommy Shark, Daddy Shark, and Baby Shark was Max. We all had these onesies on that were sharks, and on that. I don't dress up. And when Max was like really little, like a baby, I wouldn't
cool
have.
for Halloween.
No, but
better than that.
This is what I'm saying. Now I see the joy that my 2-year-old kid got out of seeing me in this stupid suit. And I think the year prior I was Buzz Lightyear. I had like a little.
There you go.
Hold on, I was gonna say that. I was like, you'd be the perfect Buzz Lightyear to his Woody, man.
Right?
You can do that next year.
I still got the costume.
Yeah.
She told me at the register I couldn't return it, so I'm good. I'll have it for
she
next
made
year.
sure you knew.
So after that parade, like the babies were loving it, right? So then I go to Mason's parade, who's in 3rd grade. So I'm just expecting that he would be super embarrassed and like not want to be my best friend if I had the costume, right? So we go to the parade. I had regular clothes on. We go to the parade. I pick him up from school. And I was like, dude, check this out. And I'm showing him the pictures outside certified. He's cracking up. And I'm like, you think I should have wore that to your parade? He's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I didn't want to embarrass you, man. I thought you were too old for that. I didn't think that.
Well, it's a fine line.
Right.
Even like,
I didn't want to
especially at
embarrass
that
the
age,
kid.
you don't know. And like,
Yeah.
Max is 6. And not that it happens often, but there are times he's like, Dad, you embarrassed me. And I'm like, why
my
did I
job.
embarrass you by telling you have to come home to eat dinner? Like, kids are finicky like that. I think you maybe made the right, you probably made the right choice.
I was.
He's 9. That could have went either way. And you wouldn't have wanted to pick up those pieces. So in hindsight, you showed him some pictures. He enjoyed them. You get to laugh together, whatever.
Yeah.
But it could have went the other way if you showed up wearing it.
I'm sure.
You know?
I'm sure. And then, so I showed up. Then we went over to Glen Arden over by Johnny Post's house, right? And we're doing our trick-or-treating thing.
Were you dressed up as Woody?
I was dressed up as Woody. John was George Washington, which was absolutely hilarious. Like, I don't know too much about history, but it looked like this guy signed like the Declaration of Independence like right before. It was like he had the wig. It was the whole outfit on.
Well,
like,
Johnny's a history teacher, right?
He's a history teacher, yeah. So he's actually worn it to school in the past. But my point was Mason plays Madden all the time. Johnny is a gamer. So I'm sitting there watching them play Madden in John's living room as the kids are running around going crazy. We finished trick-or-treating. And they're in like a sick game that like Mason was beating him by like 15 points at one time. And I've been like bragging to Mason about how good John is at Madden. But I guess John hasn't been playing a lot lately. You know, he's got a lot going on. So Mason's like beating him the whole time. Mason ends up losing. But it was just hilarious. It was like the seasoned Madden vet was playing the young buck, and Mason's doing all these audibles at the line. He's disguising onside kick, and he does a regular kick. Like, I don't even know how he does this stuff. And John's like thinking back. I could see John like, oh yeah. He's like dabbing him up. Oh, he's like, oh, that was nice pick 6. And it was like the legend of Madden playing the up and coming kid. And then
Life changes with kids.
And then we get home, and Mason's like, Dad, you know I love Madden. That was a bonehead move I pulled at the end. I was like, yeah, it was, but at least you're taking accountability for it.
But John losing that edge with Madden a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's got kids,
I
right?
know,
So
yeah.
he's focused in different things. He's an amazing teacher. He's a very accomplished wrestling coach at this point in
coach
his
of the
life.
year.
He wrestled over at Freehold, right?
Yeah.
Freehold Township. So he was in my grade, I believe.
Yep, 05?
We never wrestled, but I remember him. He was a top dog over there.
Yeah, Johnny was my bud, man. We, him and I were battle bros. You know, we would go hard during practice, and then we would hang out. At
That
his
was
house.
me and Marty Holleran, man.
Yeah.
Me and Marty.
It's the best way to build a friendship,
You,
dude.
you know who I saw recently? Bill Woodward. I haven't seen him in
love that
forever.
guy.
Awesome dude, man.
Love
I saw
that guy.
him. Aquino I saw recently. All the old guys that.
Nice.
It was Aquino's his son's first birthday party.
Yeah, you guys are like 2 years away from your 20 year. Oh, I got mine next year. And you had yours this
I
year,
had
right?
mine this year.
Can't
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah.
Now I'm blessed in a sense. I got to go. I had the opportunity to hit 2 20-year high school reunions. I wasn't able to make the one for Reilly Township because we were away for family vacation, but I did get to go to my Red Bank Catholic one. And I went to RBC. I left there and wound up at Reilly Township junior year. Both experiences were great, and I made great relationships. But oddly enough, the Red Bank Catholic high school reunion, I had an absolute blast. And mostly, I didn't get to experience the Reilly Township one. I'm assuming it would have been similar, but
Right.
you know, people see things on social media, and you get to keep in contact through it. So we've discussed some of the negative sides of it, but it was like with some people that I lost contact with that I was really close with in school. We didn't really lose contact because they knew I had 3 kids. They knew my kids' names. I knew their names. So when you wind up at your 20-year reunion and you wind up at yours, even those relationships that you had that have floundered out a little bit now, you'll see just a little post here or a little post there has kept you guys connected. And
Definitely.
people that maybe aren't at your forefront today are still there. They're still rooting for you. They're still pulling for you and still want the best for you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's nice. And you got to remember, you know, while you are embracing being a dad now, things are only going to get more hectic, and you're going to have less time to devote to friends. You're going to have less time to devote to yourself is the worst, but you're going to lose some relationships that you don't realize still exist. And for me, I realized that a lot this summer at that reunion. You know, people that I haven't talked to in years still know exactly where I'm at. And I thought I was like the creep because I knew where they were at. Like, I know they got kids. Like, I'm on social media.
They know where
I
you're
see
at.
them. But you get
They
what
know.
I'm saying.
They know.
You
They
think,
may say they don't know.
but you think you're dropping the ball as a friend, and it's not that. Life just got different a little bit. So for me, you know, and you saw it. By the time I had my 3rd kid, I stepped back from a lot of things in life. You know, obviously, as much stuff I was doing, going to political fundraisers or whatever it was, I had to take a step back.
Oh, of course. No,
You know, I'm all for a good cause, but the best cause is in my house. And whether it's tucking my son in or watching a movie with Rosalie or enjoying time with Josephine, which I don't know if it's the same for you guys. I never connected with any of my kids when they were really young.
Well, that's what I was going to try to talk to him about, but keep going.
Well, that's where I was going to go with it.
Yeah.
So Max was a little different because he was the only one in the house. It was just me and him and Mare, and I was my firstborn. We weren't supposed to have kids. They told us we weren't able to. He was like a miracle. Then all hell breaks loose. I got 3 now, but I looked at him differently. I love them all the same, but at that time, he was a miracle to me in my eyes. So I held him as much as I could, and I would hold all my kids. I couldn't really hold Rosie. She was sick. We couldn't vibe. But, like, I didn't get to be friendly with Rosalie until she was, like, 2. She kind of hated me. Josephine, by the time we had her, Mom takes all that, not takes the time. She's needed more than me at the point where you are right now. Amanda is needed more than you. You're at work and you come home and, you know, maybe you want that time with your daughter, but it's not available for you right now. But when she does get to that point, make sure you're ready to accept it. Don't get stuck into no, of course. But I'm just saying in general, to anybody listening, make sure that you're available for it. Because like right now, Josephine is becoming a daddy's girl, just like Rosie has become. And not that I'm sad about it, but like I've said it before. I'm just finding out who Josephine is. I didn't really know what she liked. I didn't know what she disliked. She was a little delayed with speech.
That is a tough dynamic, man. This is the second time we've talked about this, and
it's
I'm
tough,
still getting
and
a picture of it. That's really difficult.
And you know, Josephine had a tough time talking in the beginning, and I couldn't understand her. And now she's speaking, and you know, there's more of a need for me because she's not so dependent on her mom. And when Rosie was sick, she needed her mom. I couldn't fill that void, and she literally hated me. But when they're ready to embrace you, make sure you have the time because you're never going to get it back. We talked about it. Blink of an eye, it goes.
She's starting to smile, laugh, reach out now, and we, the one thing she is doing though, which is a new thing. This is like this week. I feel like every week there's like a new thing.
Sure.
If I'm holding her and somebody looks at her, she turns her head away. She's a little shy, so she's starting to show signs of
you
being
see
like
how
Amanda.
he's got the hand motion right though? He's got the arm like this, but he's got the free hand for the head.
You got
it. Yeah, he's got that right.
Well, what she does is she throws herself back now.
Right.
Kind of like, and you got to be ready for the catch.
There you go.
See, look at me. Look at
You're
us.
ready.
Seasoned vet.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So,
It's a whole new adventure. Whether you're getting,
it's amazing.
You're adapting to them, turning a different way, and you got to catch them and support them because they're so fragile, or they're throwing up on you, or whatever. Bro, especially with Rosie, you know how many times I got thrown up on? She would just work herself up so much, and like Max was easy. I thought Rosie was like the normal. And then I find out she was kind of not, which I knew she was sick, but I thought it was kind of normal for kids to just cry and throw up on their father, but far from normal.
Well, I got peed on recently. No, but the time management, right? So you say, I got to say, I've known you for a long time. You manage your time very well. I gotta say, even from early on when we first met, I remember you'd be at the event, you'd be home in time for the kids. And I remember this is when I wasn't a parent, and I was like, oh, it's really he has his work. He's in and you start your day early.
Yes.
You start your day very early. You get a lot done. You have your work day, and then you're always doing something. At least when we were during the political days, there was always something going on.
Yeah.
Whether it was an event in town or through whatever it was, and you manage your time really well. And I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to master. You're never going to master, I don't think, but I'm trying to improve my time management.
What you have to do is accept that there are certain things that take priority over other obligations. So for me, very structured day for the most part. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It's organized chaos in my life, but 10-minute deviation ruins my schedule. Because it's 10 minutes here, that affects 10 minutes here.
It goes down, yep.
It's a trickle-down
like
effect.
3 hours.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be abrupt with people. Like we talked before how my phone calls go. You're never going to get a 25-minute phone call
That's why
from
I love
me.
you.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I love the 2-minute phone call.
You can guarantee if I'm calling you, 2 minutes or less, and we're good. Because I know that I need my time to be home with my kids. I know that that's important to me. I also know that I have to focus on everything else to make sure everything is attended to. So it's very structured. It doesn't seem like it from the outside looking in, but internally, whether it's me or my brother, we've done a really good job of finding not balance, because we're far from balance, but the ability to manage our day effectively so that it doesn't impact or negatively affect our home life. I'm able to coach flag football. I try to be as accessible for Pete's wrestling program as I can be. Now he's got classes during the week at Impact, which we had some scheduling conflicts with football, so we couldn't make it one night a week, and then he has CCD on Tuesdays. But now that football's done, we can work Impact back in, but that's another part of the day that I have to structure, and I'm good with that.
Well, Pete's another one too. I see on Facebook.
He does everything.
He does everything, and so you're another one who you guys seem to have mastered time management, and not just time management in life with work and all that, but with the family.
It comes back to the priorities that Billy said.
Yeah.
Because
now you have something. Now you have something that trumps everything.
Right.
So it's like a new thing that kind of comes in. Okay, now because the most important thing before my daughter was the career. And you're thinking about your the future and all that,
right,
in business, and and now it's okay. Well, now it's this little kid, and it's now everything's changed now, and so like I'm trying to, okay, well, how do I do this now? It's almost like an adjusting.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment, and it might seem like things are harder, but that baby actually makes everything easier. Because now you have your whole purpose.
If you're
just
willing
living
to
for yourself.
accept that, though, because I'm sure you guys know guys just like I do that
miss the boat.
Yeah, they're
but
super
then the boat
career
keeps
driven
driving away, and they're on the dock, and they're just waving.
Yeah, and they think that they have tomorrow or the next day, or you know what,
or 10 years from now.
I need to focus on my career now. I'll pick up that time in 5 years, and now you've missed a world of experience and bonding that's just not there. And in no world am I ever going to choose. It doesn't matter how much money it is. Like you said before, I'll give all the money that I could amass for more time with my kids, especially now because they love me. I'm the cool dad right now. I'm the center of their world. Me and their mom. At some point, it's not going to be that way. We're going to be fist fighting in my backyard, me and Max. I'm sure it's going to come to that. And
but you got to keep working out at least to be ready for it.
I was going to say, dude, you got to keep that up.
Yeah, you got to keep it up.
Bro, you know what? I got the dad bod going, and I'm good with it. It's a much better dad bod than it used to be,
Modified.
so I'm happy.
My baby was born in she was born in May. June, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. Can we edit that out? June 9th.
Ev, we're going to need you.
June 9th, and I for those 3 months, you're just kind of like, it's all about the kid and trying to adapt.
Tunnel vision.
Right? So it's all about that. So for 3 months, I was MIA besides my little girl, and I haven't seen you, right? So I see Billy somewhere. I forget where it was for the first time after the working out, like the workout blitz, and it's funny. Somebody, I think it was my boss, told me. He goes, yeah, I saw something about how he saw this jacked bald guy, and whatever. And I'm like, I'm trying to think who it was. I'm like, oh, who's jacked? I'm like, and then he goes, yeah, it's him. And I picture you. And I'm like, holy shit, look at this guy.
I told you, bro.
Because the tats too. And I'm like, he's a transformation. But
Well, the tats are something that I only started getting them because me and you talked about getting it together.
I know,
and here I am winning the race.
I know. We got to get on that.
Yeah. I mean, like this yesterday, I wound up
What did you
going.
do yesterday?
So I was supposed to go I have a lion here, which wasn't supposed to be there. I'm like really impulsive. So like this was supposed to be a movie quote.
Let me see that one.
Which one? This?
One from yesterday.
So it's not finished, far from it. But this was supposed to be a movie quote. And I was going to have roses and St. Joseph's lilies for my daughters. And my wife said, you're getting too many flowers. You're going to look soft or whatever. And she knows how I feel. So my tattoo artist from Rising Sun Tattoos, who I'm real close with, looks at me and goes, like lions? I'm like, fuck yeah, I like lions. He goes, let's put a
Permanent
lion
ink,
there.
why not?
I was like, fuck it, let's do it. So I got a lion. So now in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how to make it make sense. So I decided I was going to put 3 lion cubs back here, and like this could symbolize me protecting them or whatever.
Cool.
But I recently found a quote, and at one of my tattoo appointments, I was talking to my tattoo artist about it. And the quote is, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I've realized I kind of live my life like that. I wake up every day, prepared to fight a battle. If there's peace, I'm happy, but I'm always ready for the worst. So me and him have shared that quote, and I get there yesterday, and he's designing what I wanted, and he starts telling me how he's actually really been thinking about that quote and examining it. We have a 20-minute exchange, and I said, forget it. I said, put a garden and a warrior. And now I have the start of a warrior and the beginnings of a garden, and it's far from completed, but I now have a warrior and a garden. And, it's kind of become my go-to because, you're super peaceful for the most part, and like you're like an eternal optimist. You always are looking for the best outcome, always smiling. We've discussed that. And I've realized that I'm maybe never at peace really because I'm always waiting to fight a battle. At work, people introduce me as the boss or whatever, and I always correct them. I'm not the boss. I'm the custodian. I'm here to clean up everybody's messes. And I genuinely feel that way. But coming with that is you're always going to have to fight somebody else's battle. So I genuinely feel like I always have to be a warrior. But even though we got sidetracked with that story, you have to get with somebody, get a nice tribute piece to your baby girl, because that's how this started. I wound up with this piece up here for my daughter, my son, and Josephine. And it just kind of transpired into everything.
Plus, you got Zach over there all sleeved up. You guys.
This guy's got tattoos
Emily
everywhere.
Loves tattoos.
Yeah.
The whole shop, man.
And I feed off everybody's energy. So now I'm
That's awesome. Well, it looks really good. I gotta say, I'm not just saying that. You look badass. Wow. You really
That's what
do.
I was saying, bro. He looks like the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a great thing in my line of work. You don't have to be personable and
nah, you still got the personal vibe.
Yeah,
you still
for
do.
sure.
I hope so.
So Tommy, we were talking a little bit earlier about the whole campaign days, and I feel like you hit every door in Howell, my house included. Like, did you actually hit every door in Howell?
He damn sure tried. I know, because I was out there with him a lot.
I saw him.
Well, we started
I saw him on my block.
We started, so this is going back. You start campaigning in 3-4 months leading up to the election. I started campaigning before I was a candidate, and
Solid.
so it was kind of a weird thing where it was in March of 2018. I knew that I wanted to do it. I decided I was going to do it, and I acted as if I was a candidate. And I went out with Billy. I went out with Rob, and we
were like the three amigos at that point.
We started campaigning. Hey, we got an election coming up. It's important, and hope to be a candidate. Here's my information, and I think it was in April or so we made it official where I was a candidate, and then. From then on, it was a blitz. I mean, it was every day, and we only won by 500 votes. So if we didn't work as hard as we did, probably wouldn't have won. It was razor thin margin, it really was, and it's so much that Bobby didn't get in, unfortunately. But it was a split ticket. It was it was hard work, but like anything worth doing, it's hard.
Now, was that around the same time that we did that leaf cleanup?
Yeah, so you were involved.
That was probably a little after, because I think you were already on council.
Yeah.
But to back up, I just don't want to miss this point. When all that campaigning was happening, and this is why I know he's going to be an amazing father. His biggest supporter, the one guy without fail that was out there, and I'm certain you'll agree, was your father.
That was really
marching
why I wanted to
stride in stride with everybody else out there. No one worked harder than him.
I know.
He beat on every door.
He was at the leaf cleanup too.
It's
He
funny.
did everything.
If you know my dad, which both of you do, he's a really shy guy. So like, what meant the most to me with my dad is that by nature he's extremely shy, and he's a little more reserved, a little more behind the scenes. And it took a lot for him to go to a door. I mean, going to a door, it's so uncomfortable.
It's intimidating.
It really is for anyone. I mean, you go, that's somebody's house, right? That's where they live. Like, you're intruding, you're interrupting them, and whether it's dinner or whether it's whatever, it's their peaceful area, and you're interrupting them, right? And just that in of itself, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. So, but for my dad, and you always get, inevitably, there's somebody who's not happy to see you. You're knocking the wrong door, and somebody slams it in your face. But I remember a funny story about my dad was he jumped right in. So he's my son's running, and I knew inside it took a lot for him to do it, but to see him over, to go together. But funny story was we were walking in actually it was Old Ramtown. It was what's the road behind David's Lane? Back further towards Moses Milch.
Oh, Western?
Western Drive. So we're on Western Drive area, and we go to this house, and I had about 10 guys with me that day. You may have even been there. It was a day where it was right before the election, and my dad and I and another guy went to this house, and we walk up, and we knock on the door, and this lady opens the door, and all of a sudden this cat runs out. And the cat heads for the hills.
Oh, no.
I'm talking about heads for the hills. This thing's gone. And we're all like, oh. And the lady, she puts her hands over her face. She's like, oh my God. And my dad goes, oh miss, I'm so sorry. He goes, he's trying to find the cat. He goes, is it a house cat or is it an outdoor cat? She goes, oh no, it's an indoor cat. And my dad he felt so bad. And so as we walk away, I don't know who said it, but somebody goes, to the lady, sorry to bother you, ma'am. Vote for the Democrats. See you later. I was like, last part's a joke. No, but my dad.
It's not. I said it.
No, but to see my dad, go out there and to put himself, be uncomfortable for me, and it meant the world. And he even wrote letters to residents, like personal letters. He wrote to residents in our neighborhood. Supporting me, and
but he also did it really gracefully too. There was no mudslinging. It wasn't my son's better than this one for this reason. Your father was very effective at presenting facts, and you were an easy candidate to represent because you were young, ambitious, and just like you are today, incredibly genuine.
Yeah,
it's easy to sell a good product, and you were the best product there was. And, I mean that not trying to boost your ego. It's heartfelt when I say that. I mean, I think if I had more time, I would have supported you as much more as I could have. But I genuinely think the only reason that I was out there as much as I was with you is because I genuinely believed in your cause, your mission, just like your dad. So, we did things different under your reign than a lot of people have seen in politics. And I'm not just talking about in Howell, I'm talking nationally or wherever. You didn't do any of that back and forth mudslinging or nonsense. You were you. And you stood on your principles, you stood on your values, and you presented yourself. And if you approach life like you are, and you approach parenting, which I'm sure you will, just with those goals of not losing your beliefs and your values and keeping your priorities what they are, you're going to be a great dad, just like you were a great politician, you're a great attorney, and you're a great husband.
So I have great friends around me. I have great mentor, my dad. And I have great family around, so it's that, and that's invaluable. Your circle really does matter.
I agree.
Like that is the most important thing. If these young people watching, make sure you have guys like this around you. Make sure you have guys who boost you up, support you, and believe in you. And that's the secret here. There's really, it's truly as simple as that. If you build your circle, ambitious, hungry people who support you. There's no ego. There's no he's better than this and that. Fortunately, I never had to deal with, with regard to like my close friends and family, internal bullshit. Like there's not
backstabbing.
Yeah, there's not. I don't know what it is. I just am thankful that I never had to deal with any of that.
Probably a testament to you and the energy that you give off too.
I was just going to say that
you're not
too.
giving up, because I think maybe sometimes people get a little bit ambitious and they start talking about some of these goals that maybe they truly believe in, but their family may come from something completely different and they might be backsided shutting them down. You have a very humble, like Billy said, genuine approach, which doesn't really warrant too many areas to try to shut you down. You're not.
Maybe that.
It's tough to hate on the guy that is out handing out groceries. How do you find something negative in that? Right. It's hard to hate on the guy that's advocating for residents in whatever capacity, advocating for businesses to not have to absorb additional expenses during a financial crisis. How do you find anything negative? I can genuinely say that in your entire stint on the dais, I can't think of anything that I disagree that you did. And if anybody's being objective, I don't know what they could say. You didn't act in the best interest of the townspeople.
It's like high school on steroids, basically, But the actual work of a guy, very easy. You're presented with usually it's two choices, and one choice is obviously the right one, and another choice is obviously the wrong, and you just go with the right choice, right?
They even give you a C option. Your wheels turn.
Well, sometimes, but usually it is pretty. Listen, sometimes I'm being a little facetious. There's tough decisions you got to make all the time, but at the end of the day, once you do your research and once you come down to it, it really does come between usually sometimes it's lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that too, but there's usually a right and a wrong. Sometimes two rights and two wrongs, but again, you got to choose the best option you have.
But if your moral compass is correct, and like you said, the people around you are guiding you emotionally, like to be a good person instead of pulling you down, you're going to make the right choice 9 out of 10 times. Maybe you make a mistake here and there, but it was never to further yourself or hurt anybody. You're talking about having the right people around you for support and keeping you centered. They say your network is your net worth, and it's true. It's a very valid answer, because I've talked about Pete and you being positive influences in my life. I've got in my adult life, I've made really incredible relationships, whether it's with you two gentlemen here or Scott Cortese, who I've gotten amazingly close with. My neighbor Kevin, who I've lived next to up the street from this guy for like a year. This is my boy, bro. Like, I talk to Kevin every night. He dropped off Rice Krispie treats at my house last night. Like, this is my guy. But good people.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There's no one, like you said, like high school drama. I don't have that. I have some at work because I got 30 different personalities that I'm managing. But in my personal life, I've done a really good job of just finding genuine, grounded people that balance me out. I'm a little fucked up and crazy, but like,
We all are.
Yeah, but
you gotta be a little. Yeah, you gotta be a little bit.
But your fucked up and crazy or yours is different than mine. So like, you could look at me and be like, "Bro, balance, like, bring it in. You know, you're good." Or I could look at you and be like, "Hey, Tom, I think you're fucking up. Like, let's alter our outlook here." You know, and that's what it's all about. Because if you can't teach me anything, and I can't provide any value to you in return, what value does our relationship have? Like, we could be good friends, we could laugh, we could get hammered together if that's what it was, but there's real substance to our relationship.
It's easy to find yes people.
Yeah.
You know, the yes people are everywhere, and especially like the older you get, for some reason, the older you get and the more you do, I guess you find more yes people that want to just be a part of the crew and just yes you to death and just agree with everything. And it's like, I remember when there were a lot of yes people around me when I was running a lot, and you were you were like, no. You know, you were like, wait a minute. This is wrong. I think you should do this. I think you should go over here. I think you should. And conversely, you told me when I was doing things right.
Yeah.
And so that's the mark of a real friend and a real valuable friend. Somebody who brings a lot of value to my life. And I was lucky to have a lot of those, decent amount of those guys, you know,
awesome.
And girls, you know. So
that's awesome.
and you're one of them too, you know.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. No. So
now, if you had a couple words to express to maybe somebody that's going through transitioning in life, whether it's becoming a parent or career change or anything like that, or maybe they've lost some relationships that they were holding on to for years and now they're replacing them with new, hopefully solid, valuable relationships. Do you have any advice or words of wisdom?
There's a lot there, you know, with regard to the losing a relationship. You know, obviously don't hold grudges.
Yeah.
You know, I held a grudge, you know, this is when I was younger, and I still regret it. You know, I don't think anybody is happy about holding. Oh, I'm glad I held that grudge.
Yeah, right.
You know, that was great. That year that I was
the best grudge.
Oh man, they learned their lesson. You know, like that's not how. No, you know. Right. So let bullshit roll off. If it's a relationship issue, be the bigger person. Say you're sorry, even if it's, you know, because sometimes, you know, you not say you're sorry, but just say, hey, listen, if there's beef between. Yeah, it's good. Don't worry about it. Let's put it behind us and let's just, you know, let's get back to it, right?
And you are good at that. It's not like you're just saying that. You practice what you preach, because I've seen it.
Well, I got to say that the politics was like ultimate training camp in learning how to like take, you know, get bullshit thrown at you and then just moving forward and kind of getting through it and just, and, you know, and just not letting it affect your life, because it ultimately affects you. Like if you're holding a grudge or that affects me. Like that's energy. Like holding a grudge is energy, and it's exhausting sometimes. Like and awkward. Like, you know, especially if it's somebody who you may work with or a relative or a friend. You got to see that person at the house, in the office, in town. Like that's awkward. It's energy that is sucked from you. So I was never big on the grudge thing. I just moved forward. Even in my mind, I know that I was right, and like, you know.
But that's enough,
you know,
right?
Exactly.
You know, there's no point in dedicating all your good energy to being negative.
Yeah, and also, you know, for younger people who are getting started and working in a, you know, like whether it be a business or anything with people, you're going to have personalities that are going to piss you off. Leave the ego at the door. Let it roll off you. Don't let it bother you, because it's going to affect your work and your life. But you also brought up advice. I think you mentioned. Do you have any advice for people who are just getting started? Is that what you? I just read. I read and I listened to David Goggins. I was late to the game, by the way.
That's fine.
David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
Oh, great.
You ever read that book or listen to the? So I recommend getting the book and then also doing the audio book and the podcast combo.
Is it his voice?
It's his voice. So
I read the book recently.
Well, is it his voice? I know that in between. So after every chapter, it's him and the writer kind of like explaining the chapter. It's amazing, and you hear Dave. You know, David in his voice is like,
he gets me soup. That's why I was asking.
Man. So that book, and I read it a couple years ago, and it changed my life. It totally altered the course of my life to some extent.
I'm sure.
You know, and it's funny. I showed that book to another attorney who runs marathons, and this guy he's a local attorney. Ken, he's over in Howell. He lives in Howell, works at a freehold. Marathon runner. And this is a guy who's used to just killing it, right? He runs and he works out. He's no stranger to hard work and fitness. And he read that book. And he listened and he goes, that book changed me, man. He goes, and he decided,
was already motivated.
And he was already pumped up. So if it can motivate an already motivated person like this guy can.
So, but I think that's who resonates with the book, because I got turned on to that book. My friend Nate gave me a copy. I took it to North Carolina when I went in July to see my wife's family. And I read it every morning that we were there, and I had a lot of time with it. I wake up early, long before everybody else is up. Bro,
right?
It's super impactful.
And the best thing about his whole thing, not to cut you off, Tommy, but the best thing about David Goggins' whole situation is that before picture. Because it's not like he's just saying, oh, be like me, do this, do that. He's like, oh, wait, yeah, that used to be me. So whatever you currently are looking like or feeling like or acting like, that's not permanent ink like those tattoos. He's giving you the blueprint like, hey, yeah, I used to make bad choices. I used to be in my own head. I hated who I was when I looked in the mirror. But now I'm freaking confident. And it came from hard work and doing stuff that I didn't want to do.
There's so many lessons to extract from that book. And there's like, you can go on forever with the amount of you can get from that story in his book. One of them for me was, and this is something wrestling also taught me, and is that you're tougher than your mind and your body tell you.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're like your mind is conditioned to put like a limit on the amount of stress you can take, and not just mental but physical stress too. The body can endure so much more than the brain says that it can, and that's that's something that I would tell. That's what I got from the book, but I would tell somebody watching if something that I kind of apply a little bit later. Is that, and I guess I subconsciously kind of knew it from wrestling, because I remember there were times where, and you wrestle too, where you're on the mat and you're in the third period and you're exhausted, and and not only you're usually injured, you got some kind of injury going on. My hand was broken when I was wrestling my senior year, and I'm in pain and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, but at that point it's you versus you, and you got to be able to get past that mindset that you're hitting that wall.
But I'll tell you, but the book, it confirmed it for me. And as an adult, because when you're a kid wrestling, you're not meant, your mind's not there sometimes all the way, and you're not mentally mature. I sure wasn't. I was not mentally mature. I was opposite. I was mentally immature to the max when I was younger.
I've heard stories.
Oh yeah. That's the follow-up podcast. No, but the book confirmed it. It was, and it's something I applied later in life. Is like, man, Tom, you're tougher than this. You're tired. You're whether it's work or whether it's fitness, whatever. You can handle this. So you're gonna you just deal with it, right? You're gonna deal with it. Take it. Whatever it is. It could be work or whatever, and you move on. And also, one more thing is trying to extract a lesson out of every shitty situation.
I agree with that.
That's the last one, and it's something I did much later again. I wish I would have done all this stuff when we were younger,
But you have to do the other side of everything before you really kind of understand.
Yeah, there's no point in learning if you don't know you have to learn.
Yeah, but taking a lesson from whatever, you're, oh man, that sucks, whatever. Somebody, whatever it was, talking shit or whatever it is that thing happens to you. You just sit back and you just kind of think about, okay, well, what did I learn here? What did I learn? I didn't get the job, or I don't know if I told you guys. I don't talk about this to really anybody before, but when I left the council, I had a job opportunity, a different position at my work that I took, a lot more demanding, a lot more responsibility. I also applied direct commission for the Navy, and so I applied. This is back in summer of 21. I was told it was a shoo-in, and I got a call. I think it was in August. The recruiter called, and this is like 2 years. By the way, this process was so long. Multiple interviews. I had to go to MEPS and blood work and all this physical, all kinds of tests, and then I had to get through these interviews with these other officers, and I got good. They tell you like the marks, how you did in the interview. I got all good marks. And everyone's like, you're a shoo-in, you got great credentials, you have great people recommending you, all top guys. You're fine, you're in. I get a call from a recruiter, sorry man, nope, they didn't want you. And I'm like, man, that sucked, That was a blow like you wouldn't believe. It was the ultimate failure, man. I felt so bad.
But now can you put a positive spin on that and say that today, having a newborn at home, you were kind of spared that experience to be able to dive full force into your child?
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm going to be home more now. Having not done that, but I still on the table, obviously. But what I learned from it was, I I just had to be honest with myself. Did I interview the best that I could? I was told that, yeah, you did great. Did I really do great? You know, did I? And I went back and I looked at my notes and I went through my resume and through my basically a script, you know, because you have to like basically present your case to many different officers in the form of an interview. And honestly, I didn't do as good as I thought I did, or I was told that I did. I could have went back and I could have not said that. I forgot to mention a bunch of other stuff that and I didn't tie like my professional experience well into the job that that I was applying for. And I had to be honest with you.
That was good accountability for you.
I messed up. Yeah, like I messed up. I didn't do the best that I could do.
That's one thing you've always been able to do, though, is you've always looked at yourself through a non-biased lens, and you've always been able to realize your faults, or that if you had maybe not excelled in a certain aspect, that you could have done better.
Yeah, of course, you have to self-assess. You always got to. What they call the post-mortem, they call it. You have to go back and you have to look at. Okay, well, what could I have done better? And everybody's gonna listen. This isn't the first time I'm gonna fail at something, and you go back and you say, okay, well, how did I? And so for anybody, young people watching, if you hit a bump in the road, do a self-assessment. What went wrong? Like and be honest. That's the thing too. It's so hard to say I fucked up.
You gotta be self-aware.
I messed up. It's so hard to do that, and it's even hard to even to some extent admit this. On a podcast, right? It's like I failed. I made a mistake, and I could have done a better job. And that's the thing that I think if you can do that as a young person, you're deadly.
Yeah,
you're absolutely deadly because you're gonna improve so much faster than everybody else. I'm 36 and I'm like still learning about how to do it.
Now imagine if at 25 you could have the self-awareness and self-accountability that you have today.
That's what they say like, you ever see those things on like social media? It's like, would you rather have $10 million now or be 20 with all the knowledge you have now? And it's funny because like I'm 36, so like, okay, give me the 10 million, right? Because but then you sit there and like, wait a minute, 25. With all the knowledge I have now,
you could do a lot better than 10 million.
Man, wait a minute. I can do this and this and this and I can have it. And so you don't know, really. But I got to tell you, but if younger people can, and I think the audience is pretty. It's a wide range of people, right? So, but if anybody who has kids that are in high school or college, I'm going to certainly do that to my daughter and any other kids I have in the future, hopefully. And you guys with your kids, I'm sure, that's a big one for me.
Well, I think that's a good spot to end. Tommy, I really want to thank you for your time today. You're hopefully going to be back many, many times in the near future, especially since you were supposed to be the third wheel on this show.
So hold on, I want to say something, and don't edit this out, by the way. So anybody knows who Steven Glansberg is?
Oh.
You know Steven Glansberg? Anybody know Steven Glansberg?
No one gets this?
All right, so
I know the line. It's, what are you gonna make me sit here and eat lunch like I'm Steven Glansberg?
Yep, yeah. Steven fucking Glansberg. and so when they had the pod, so Billy's telling me about this podcast, and I'm like, I'm in. Like as soon as I'm in. And then I see episode 1, and I'm like,
hold on, Tommy forgets the amount of times that he had to reschedule and couldn't commit because our former deputy mayor has a super swamp schedule, and it's difficult to hammer him down. But it was something that had to happen. We had to take action.
But I always do. I've known this to Bill for a long time. Every time that Bill does something, even if it's like totally like it's unwarranted on my part, I'll send him a picture of Steven Glansberg at the lunch table eating lunch by himself. Every time, he'll be out at like an event, like a golf outing. I'll send him just a picture of Steven Glansberg, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
That's my life.
He's like, "Come on, man." I'm like, "That's what you get."
Well, now you don't have to eat lunch by yourself. You could come sit here with us.
Oh my God.
Anytime we're in the building, you're always welcome. I'm gonna have to buy another mic. We'll get it set up. Maybe we'll buy a new couch. I don't know, but I would love to. I would love to get you on here more regularly. I feel like we had great conversation, a ton of value.
Less about me in the future, more about you guys.
More about everything. But you're here today. This could be an introduction for future episodes.
Being a guest is cool. I appreciate it. But there's I need to learn a lot too from you guys. So selfishly, I got to hear more about this. I got a 5-month-old, and I need some advice from some good dads. So
well, keep watching.
We got to fast forward till the baby's about a year and a half.
But subscribe. You could watch all our stuff. You could get on here as much as you want. Everybody out there, subscribe, follow. We appreciate the support, and we'll talk to you next week.